Breaking news, it's Miss Johnson's turn. He's coming to you with map and graphing skills because it has to do with numbers. And you know how much I love math. So, let's look on page 156 where it says map and graph skills. We're going to talk about how to read different graphs. All right, reading a circle graph. Graphs are visuals that show information in a way that helps you compare and interpret information. One type of graph is called a circle graph. Circle graphs are almost sometimes called pie charts, as they are round and divided into sections like a slice of pie, or like when we divided our cookie up in the beginning of the year to show different fractions. With a circle graph, the entire circle is the whole, and the sections are the parts. Reading a circle graph can help you interpret numbers and facts. To interpret the circle graph, first look at the title to understand what the graph is about. So, looking at this graph, our title is Colonial Diversity of the 1700s. Next, you read the legend to find out what each section shows. The title of the circle graph below is Colonial Diversity 1700. This graph compared the percentage of different ethnic groups of people in the colonies in the year 1700. Now, what can you interpret about the ethnic makeup of the colonies by looking at the graph? You can understand that in the 1700s, English and Welsh colonists were the largest ethnic group in the 13 colonies. Now, in this graph, you'll see it kind of copied really dark. So we're going to go over what each one of these sections is and what the percentage is. So, we're going to start with the English and the Welsh. That's this big section right here. So English and Welsh made up 80%. So write that right in there so you don't forget. 80% of the colonial diversity. Okay, the 11% is the Africans. In the colonies, 11% of the population was made up of African Americans. Now, the Dutch is 4%. Scottish was 3%. And other European is 2%. So as you see, we started from the top and we went around clockwise. We had 11, 4, 3, and 2. So it followed right around in a circle. Okay, so that's for the colonial diversity of 1700. Now let's turn the page. Okay, on this page, another circle graph. The number of sections in the graph reflects the number of ethnic groups in 1755. So we are 55 years later in this population graph. Now, again, it's copied really dark, so let's go over the percentages. So English make up 52%. And again, we're going to follow this clockwise around to fill in each ethnic group. So, Africans made up 20%. Germans made up 7%. The Scots-Irish group made up 7%. The Irish group was made up of 5%. Scottish was 4%, the Dutch was 3%, and other Europeans stayed at 2%. So make sure you get all this copied down correctly. Okay, again, we go right around in a clockwise direction. So if you missed any of these, just follow your ethnic groups down the line and you follow your graph from 52 clockwise and it tells you exactly which ethnic group is what percent. All right, so let's go to the questions. Okay, our questions say, which group has the most people in 1755? So in order to answer this, we have to look at the graph that says 1755, which would be the one on this page. Now it says the most people. Now many of us would think, well, it tells the percent, but not the number of people. But in this case, the most people would be the highest percent. Which ethnic group had the highest percentage in 1755? And if we look, it's 52, so our answer is going to be the English. Okay, so let's go to number 2. How much did the percent in the number of English people change between 1700 and 1755? Now, this is going to require some math. Okay, we know in 1755 there was 52%. Now we're going to find the answer for 1700. We go back to the previous page and let's look. Now, on this graph it says English and Welsh was 80%. That means that there were 80% of the population was of English and Welsh background. So our answer for the 1700 graph is 80%. So we go back to our question and we can fill in 80%. So now that we have these numbers, what do we do with them? It says, how much did the percent in the number of English people change? So the operation you would have to fill out is 80 minus 52. And that will give you your answer for this question. Yes, it still has to be in a complete sentence. And for the last one, why do you think the percentage of Africans increased? I want you to think about what we talked about in this chapter. Think about what was going on. Okay, what would cause the African population to increase from 11% to 20% in 55 years? That's all the information I'm going to give you. You have to go back in the text and find out. Okay, but make sure you use your book so you can help infer. Okay, and the last one about creating a map you do not have to do. So you can go ahead and cross number 4 right off of your page. So you're doing 1, 2, and 3. For number 3, make sure you go back in the text and to support your answer. Okay? Thank you. Good luck.